I'll take the difference between your watch and my watch. Okay, we'll call to order the Administrative Committee meeting for May 12th, 2017. And we will ask any of our board members if they have any concerns that they would like to express this morning. Hearing none, do we have any travel that we need to report on? Hearing none, do we have any board member consultants that we need to approve this morning? Hearing none, Mr. Nastri, do you have any out-of-country travel?
No, sir.
Hearing none, okay. Then we'll go to Mr. O'Kelly.
Thank you, Dr. Burke and committee members. Before I turn it over to Chris to demonstrate the new homepage and some of the top-level navigation, I just want to remind everybody how we got to the point that we're at with the website. Back in 2012, we created the current website. It was an improvement over the previous website, and it was based on a content management system. I think since that time, although it's recognized as an improvement, I think there were additional improvements that were requested from the public, from the governing board, from stakeholder groups. So there's been various actions over the last year and a half or so that have come through this committee and through the governing board, resulting in a website audit or a review, if you will, and then a contract with a company called Civic to design a new website based on the results of that website review. I thought I'd give a little bit of information before Chris goes into it. Our website receives about $2.8 million, I'm always thinking money, I apologize, 2.8 million page views every year. The majority of the pages are the home page, the find page, the current air quality map, the rule book, careers. Those are really the top 5 items, and what you'll see when we look at the new website is those are pretty easily accessible, and that was part of the design process. Right now we're working on data migration. There are about 15,000 URLs behind the scene that we're linking from the old website to the new website. The goal is so that any outside person or internal person with a link to a web page currently, that link will still work with the new website, although the data may look different and the web page will look more probably amenable to the eye. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chris to demonstrate what it's looking like so far.
Morning, Chairman Burke, committee members. As you recall, several months ago, we brought to the admin committee the results of the recommendations of Civic, the consultant. But what we brought to the admin committee was just wireframe mock-ups without any functionality behind the wireframe. And what has happened since that admin committee is they've put functionality to the home page, which I want to demonstrate to you today, and they are currently in the process of migrating all the content over to the navigation, the new navigation that has gone from a vertical navigation on our current home page to a horizontal navigation that you can see up here. They have a primary navigation and a secondary navigation on this upper bar that they're putting all the content behind these buttons on the navigation bar. And that's the process they're going through right now, is migrating all the content over there. But what I wanted to bring you today was just to show you the functionality of what this is going to look like rather than just wireframes. So as you're scrolling down, or as you open the website, the first thing that opens is this area for hot topics. So you can see, like right now, we have Paramount, Torrance, Sunshine Canyon, Aliso. It can scroll through them, or you can click on any one of them, and the designer of these.
Mr. Marley?
Yes.
Instead of doing what you had rehearsed to do, why don't you find me the board meeting webcast?
Which board meeting webcast are you interested in, Dr. Burke, or which board meeting?
The May 5th. The May 5th board meeting webcast.
The May 5th board meeting webcast. You'd have to go to the calendar. And then, we gotta go back, you gotta go to past events. The webcast right here. No, but they aren't there. They're here. Okay, so it's.
But Chris, they're not there because the functionality isn't fully complete.
Right.
So when
Yeah.
Chris dropped down on events, news and events, there's a webcast button right there. You click on the webcast. That's not part of what's been completed yet.
They're in the process of migrating everything over, and I'm not sure if they've migrated everything yet. But if you come down here, webcast, it should bring you to the webcast page. And because it's on a new server, and not all the stuff there is not the most efficient, but it comes up. And then you can get to the webcast, and the main governing board one is right here. So you can get to it from the calendar of events, basically.
Mr. Marley,
Yes.
why don't you come and do the demonstration when it is fully migrated?
Okay, but when it's fully migrated, we hope to be soon deploying right after that. So I was hoping to give the.
So Chris, Dr. Burke, I wonder I think what Chris is at least looking for is, if you can go back to the new homepage, Chris. I think on the we made significant improvements to the calendar page based on all of the comments and the website audit. There were a lot of heavy commentary regarding finding things that obviously needed to be found, like webcasting, like the items I described, find, grants and bids, careers. There was commentary regarding the use of maps. We've included that. I think what Chris is at least looking for right now, because the behind the scenes aren't all complete, is at least a feel for what you and the committee think about just the feel and look of the website improvements. Because we think the feel and the look are pretty good at this point. So I think we're at least looking for some comments from that perspective.
Can you take it down?
Go up to the top, Chris, where it would look like right when you go to the website.
Thank you. My personal viewpoint is that it's just a gigantic leap forward. I mean, the difference between what it was and what it is just enormous. But I probably go to the website more than anybody in this room. And I was going to the website a lot this last week because I was at home a lot. And it still needs some work on making things easier. I'm not having it be easy for the people who work here is one thing, because they know. But the people who come in off the street, the public, is what I've always been most interested in serving. And some of the things, the webcast is my favorite ball of yarn, but because that's what I'm always looking for around the first of the month. Even if I go to the meeting, I like to review what's said there and check on various things. But that has really not improved. But the website on whole is enormously, an enormous amount, much better than it has been in the past, from my perspective.
And what we tried to do, Dr. Burke, on the events for the week, we've tried to design it so that, such that with the event, the information on the event, you can get a lot of different information. You should be able to get to the agenda right from the event. You should be able to get to the webcast right from the event instead of having to jump from page to page to page. So we tried to design this calendar of events such that you can get to everything right from here to make it easier for you.
Yes, but Chris, if I wanted to look at the board meeting from last week, that's not a this week event.
No, then you'd be able to filter to get these past events. So if I click on it though, It's on a server that takes time to pull up all the information.
Got it.
But if we pull it
Got
up,
it.
then you'd be able to see it right from here.
But Dr. Burke, the point you're making is a good point in that we've looked to see what are people from the outside coming to our website for, and we know what those things are, and we've addressed them at the top. But you bring up a good point. I use our website primarily to look at old agendas and to look at old webcasts, which is what you're describing. And so I think Chris and I talked this morning about news and events being where sort of the calendar's at, and we weren't sure if that really makes sense because events sounds like maybe big one-time thing. So maybe I think we can work on this a little bit more to address that part of it. And I think it ties in with transparency when you're talking about agendas and webcasting and that. So I think clearly we can make improvements to address the concerns you're bringing up.
Okay.
It almost seems as if you have a webcast button at the top. You know how you had the bar?
Yeah.
It had like careers, jobs, or whatever. You could just even have a webcast one, so that it becomes more of a one click instead of a 2 or 3 click.
Right. Some of the problem is you start to run out of real estate on some.
We'll figure it out. We'll buy
Yeah.
more real
Yeah.
estate if we have
I mean, this is the comment that you wanted, so.
Yeah. Right.
So thank you.
Right. So, okay, I can stop here.
Okay. Yeah, you can stop there. Mr. O'Kelly, we're going on to item 6.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Burke and committee members. So this is the report we're now providing every month for the large items that are going on through IM. I think at this point we just talked about the website improvements. I'll just touch on a few. The GIS project we discussed last admin committee. It's a 2-year project. We're committed to completing 9 of the 15 projects over the next fiscal year. The permit systems automation is moving along as expected. In working with Lockheed's group, things are moving forward there. The IT review, we're working on some contracting details, but that should come to you for contract execution here shortly. Permit dashboard statistics at the last board meeting. The board requested maybe more granular information on the permit streamlining process, so we're working with Lockheed's group to be able to provide that. Beyond that, everything's moving as expected, so I'd be happy to answer any questions on any of the specific items.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. O'Kelly? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion.
What it would put the motion to the what? To send it to the board?
Yeah, receive and file. I'll move to receive and file.
Yeah. We have a motion and a second. Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Parker,
Yes.
Dr. Burke,
Yes. Mr. O'Kelly?
Thanks again, Dr. Burke, committee members. This next item ties back to the GIS project that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. So we're requesting authority to purchase some licenses for Esri software and also authority to purchase 2 load balancers. So the load balancers basically distribute the load within our internal cloud when data requests are coming through. So again, this is part of the GIS project. We're trying to get this done before the fiscal year ends to set us up for the projects we'll be working on next fiscal year. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. These are budgeted items.
I have not a question, but I have a comment. If you are going to be going with these maximizing switches that Cisco and some of the other ones in Meraki, et cetera, are designing, make sure that you don't, that there's someone who understands that that particular technology fails, literally fails, if you have more than 50 or 60 users using at the same time, and they have to turn it off. The reason why I say that, we just had an experience where we were having 200 or 300 people on, and we're supposed to accommodate 1,000. And for a week, nobody at Cisco could figure out exactly what was going on until I had to really go in and basically tell them what the problem itself was. They were using an algorithm that was not working properly. And they had to go in and actually turn the home algorithm maximizing and equalizing system itself off. So just make sure that when you're dealing with these new technologies, that for a situation like ours, where we may have literally thousands of people coming in at the same time, if it will not basically, it will ultimately do it, but initially will kick them off and say, you can't log on to this particular website. So that's a situation that with new technology, it's done to basically kind of balance out your bandwidth needs, but it doesn't do it in real time. It does it in a kind of a post situation. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Not that I'm saying that they won't work and they're not very good, but they're not really good when you have thousands of people, which in this situation we may have at any one time, thousands of individuals trying to access our website.
What is Mr. Marley?
Yes.
What is the maximum number of people that we've had try to access the website at one time?
Well, it was several years ago during one of the fires. I don't know the exact number, Dr. Burke, but when the fires were going on, I think it was the ones in the San Gabriel Mountains, that we were just flooded with thousands and thousands of people trying to hit our air quality page. And that was before we had any load balancing and things in place.
So thank you. So this is a real concern.
We'll
Okay.
look into that.
Dr. Burke, I actually have,
Item number 7?
I think the number was about 35,000, Dr. Burke. Just by the way, I happen to have got that
For
from Chris's
this
slide.
last year,
Yeah. That was the daily maximum.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move the staff
Um,
recommendation on item 7.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Parker,
yes.
Dr. Burke,
Yes.
motion
Yes.
passes 3-0.
Mr. O'Kelly?
Thanks again, Dr. Burke, committee members. I'll be brief on this item. We had a governing board workshop about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Went into detail, a lot of time on the mission statement, goals and priority objectives, with a little less time on the draft budget and proposed fee increase. So I think the big ticket items on here are where we have a reduced in size, but we think more impactful set of goals and priority objectives. The draft budget, we're requesting a fee increase for Title V sources of 32%, which is split in half, 16 and 16, in accordance with Health and Safety Code. A 4% fee increase on non-Title V sources. That 8%, 4 and 4 over 2 years. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. There's a hearing set in June, and there'll be a more detailed discussion at that time. But I'm happy to go through now if the committee would like.
And Dr. Burke, just if I could mention, this is an item with no motion required.
Okay. Are there any statements by any of my colleagues? I would like to ask Mr. Nastri, you're okay with this?
The mission state, I'm good with the goals and the objectives and the budget and the fees. The mission statement is one that we've been grappling with. And I think that yesterday, Michael Kelly, myself, and a few others were able to draft a revised one. I want to get that out to you and some of the other board members a little bit later today. But overall, I'm good with where we are.
Okay, because I missed the first part of that meeting. I was a few minutes late. And I understand there was a lot of discussion about the mission statement that I missed.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that with great anticipation. Dr. Parker?
I was going to say that, do you believe you kind of adjusted it? Supervisor Rutherford in particular had some concerns relative to how we were going to set about what our mission statements and one of the goals themselves were.
I believe
Have you
so.
addressed that?
I
Okay.
believe so, Dr. Parker. The challenge to me is whenever you hear a mission statement, you should be able to say it very quickly, succinctly, and people should understand it. And I think that we now are at a point where we can do that, and we can do it in a way that I think takes into account the concerns that we heard expressed at the workshop.
But keeping in mind that the views expressed at the workshop are not the views of the entire board.
Yes,
So when it goes to the board, we'll look at this and see if the majority concurs.
right.
Okay, do we need a motion on this item?
Chairman,
Yes.
first, we do have public comment. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's Rita Loof.
Rita Loof with Rastec International. And we'll be submitting written comments on this, but just wanted to make a couple of brief comments. On goal number 1, the progress towards clean air goal, I would just urge the executive officer to put the focus on those policies that will really reduce emission reductions and not necessarily the administrative burden to industry.
Yeah,
And
we know what you're trying to say, Rita. You've been saying it now for about 45 days. We got that. Now, if you have additions or corrections to that you'd like to discuss with Wayne, be more than happy to have you do that. But I never remember us taking public comment in the middle of the admin committee in these situations. So
Dr.
I'm
Burke,
going to ask you to,
Dr. Burke,
Yes.
actually, the public does have an opportunity to comment on any item on the committee's agenda. And so,
but at what point?
well, they have a right to comment at or before the item is considered.
Okay,
But
fine.
it's the time.
fine, go ahead, Ms. Lou.
well, no, Dr. Burke, in respect to your comments, then I will waive my comments today and I will just submit them in writing.
Talk to me afterwards.
Thank you. Any other people, any other public comment? Okay, then we need a motion on this item, Barbara?
No, we do not. This is informational, Dr. Burke.
Okay, thank you. Then the next item is?
Thanks again, Dr. Burke, committee members. This is the last one for me. This is a routine item. We're requesting authority to issue RFQs to purchase various gases for the laboratory. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. O'Kelly on the RFQ release?
I'll move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Parker,
Yes.
Dr. Burke,
Yes.
motion passes 3-0.
Okay, Mr. Minnesota?
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Jason Lowe will be presenting this item.
Good morning, Dr. Burke, members of the committee. This item is to do several actions. Sorry. I'll move up to the table. Morning, Dr. Burke, members of the committee.
Yes.
This action is to do, this recommended action is to do several items. The first is in transfer and appropriating money to our PM 2.5 program. It is to upgrade the laboratory weighing room, as well as to purchase 2 continuous PM monitors for the field. The second recommended action is to appropriate and release an RFQ for some mobile platforms that we can deploy instrumentation on for an amount up to $118,000. And the last recommended item is to realign the budget for an enhanced particulate monitoring program of up to $230,000. I'll be happy to take any questions on this item.
Any questions by my colleagues?
None here.
No questions? I'll accept a motion on this.
I'll move the staff recommendation.
Second,
Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Parker,
yes.
Dr. Burke,
Yes.
motion passes 3-0.
Okay, we're down to Sam Atwood.
Good morning, Dr. Burke, Dr. Parker, and Councilmember Mitchell. This item proposes a $250,000 expenditure for Google advertising, principally banner ads and YouTube pre-roll, and this is to help promote the 2017-2018 Check Before You Burn campaign, which starts on November 1st. The campaign with Google is meant to complement a local outreach campaign for which your board just approved a contract last Friday. And Dr. Burke, as you know, Google has been highly effective at allowing us to not only specifically target users who we want to deliver a message to, but to reach millions and millions of these users multiple times. Just very briefly, the 2016-2017 Check Before You Burn Google campaign achieved over 110 million impressions, which means how many times that ad appeared on somebody's device. More than 2.9 million interactions, meaning that someone clicked on the ad, and that was achieved at a cost of about 7 cents per interaction. So staff recommends adoption of this item, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
I have to tell you that the person who is most impressed with our Google campaign is my wife, who is not really, she's hard to impress, trust me. I've tried for the last 45 years to impress her, so I know. But there's not many places we go that somebody doesn't come up to me and say, "You're the guy from SCAQMD, you're Ali's friend." The last time she dropped her her iPhone watch the other day and broke it. So my job is to drive her. So I drove her to the Apple store. So she's getting a new Apple iPhone watch, and a security guard comes up to me. He says, "I know you." I don't think you do. He says, "Oh yeah, I know you. You're the guy from SCAQMD who's Ali's friend." I said, "Yeah, that's me, all right." So there is no question in Yvonne's mind or my mind that the Google campaign is extraordinarily effective. I know that we're not running that portion anymore, but it really was very, very effective. So I will accept a motion on this item.
I'll move the item.
I'll second it.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Parker,
Yes.
Dr. Burke,
Yes.
motion passes 3-0.
Okay. I don't see, Kurt's not here, is he?
Dr. Burke, I'll be pinch hitting for that. On
Okay.
item 12, staff would like to withdraw this item and bring it back next month for the pre-qualified council. And so that doesn't require a vote. Item 13, this is to request a budget augmentation for outside counsel legal expenses for April, May, and June of this year in the amount of $250,000. On the good news side, in the last 2 years, we've spent about $300,000 on the Phillips 66 litigation defending our CEQA document. And that money will be reimbursable by the refinery at the time the litigation is over. The time for the environmentalists to seek review in the California Supreme Court, by my rough calculation, expires either yesterday or today. So we should hopefully shortly be able to get reimbursement if they do not seek review or if it gets denied by the Supreme Court. So again, we request the augmentation of $250,000 for outside counsel expenses.
Okay, may I have a motion on Mr. Weiss's item?
I'll move the item.
Second,
Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Parker,
yes,
Dr. Burke,
Yes.
motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Mr. Alatorre, is he, yes, I see you sitting over there. You're at the kids' table again.
I coughed too much today. This is a written report for LGSBA.
Yes, okay. Then, is there any questions on the June agenda? Is there any other business before this committee? Is there any public comment?
Nope, none here.
None here either. Paul, would you like to say something? No, Paul. Paul is not saying anything today. So this brings to adjournment the administrative committee meeting for May 12th, 2017. Thank you for coming. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, you too.